Well, I was out fishing to the Isle of Rona there a couple of weeks ago, and I never even got a bite. Um, I think because the current was actually moving too fast, I couldn't get the lures down to the fish, and the 2 ounce weights that I had weren't sufficient. So I went away last night, and I made myself some 5 ounce ones, and then some 4 ounce ones. Obviously, I need to file round them and give them a tidy up. But I had a lot of lead weights lying around, diving weights and things like that I don't use. So I melted them down, because these things, the 4 ounce ones are about £2 each, and the 5 ounce and larger can be up to £2.50 each. So for half an hour's work and a few of the wee brass eyes, I made myself about 60 quid's worth, which will last me quite a while. A treble swivel, and I'll have the weight on a dropper with lighter fishing line, and the lure about 8 feet behind it, and that way I'll be able to get my lures down far enough. I mean, there's parts of the Rona bank that go down to about 100 metres, and it comes right up to about 20 metres, and it's brilliant for a brilliant habitat anyway for cod and pollock and things like that, but the current was just too strong, and I wasn't getting down more than 10 metres. So hopefully this will help. I'm planning on going to the boat just now, although it's gusting up to 50 and it's absolutely pouring it down. But if you waited for the weather in Scotland, you never do anything. So I'll get down and I'll have a look at the water, and I'll see if I can get over, because there's nothing worse than sitting about in the house waiting to get to the boat. And there's a million things I want to do with the boat, and I want to give you a tour, take you round about and let you see things, let you see what my plans are, and ask your thoughts on a few things. As I've said in videos previously, I'm brand new to sailing. I'm a lot more experienced in motorboats, powerboats, and how they move in the water. So, I'll try to get down to the boat, and I'll take you round about, and I'll let you see what it's needing, see what I want to do to it, if I'm going to keep it. I'll get back to you once I'm down there. Now, usually I like to come to the harbour here and inflate my small dinghy here, because it's easier on the flat pontoons and things, and then I'll steam out there using that outboard. And if you can see here, lovely, got rain on straight away. There we go, that's better. Yeah, as I was saying, I usually like to go across to the mooring on the wee dinghy. I'll come from the harbour here and go out past the pier, and then if you can see the island there, the mooring is just in that wee sheltered bay. As I said, it's a lot easier for me to inflate the dinghy and put the outboard and things on here, but I don't think it's the weather for it today. It's gusting up to 50 at times, and there's a few whitecaps, as you can see. So I'll head across to the car park over there, and I'll see if I can get the dinghy built up on the rocks. Hopefully it's a bit calmer over there. As I said in the last video, it's usually a lot more sheltered, but we'll see when we go over there. As you can see here, although we're in the loch and the waves, the surge is shorter, the waves are still hitting the shore quite hard, and I've got to go across that to get to the mooring. So I'll drive round. It's a lot rockier and harder to get the dinghy down onto, but I'll drive round and I'll see what I can do. As you can see, even all the fishing boats are tied up. So although it's choppy here in the loch, once you get out past the loch into the Minch in the North Atlantic, the swell and the waves will be huge. So, you know, I wouldn't dream of going out there. But as I said, the mooring that I've got is really sheltered, and hopefully, you know, once I get round there, it'll be a lot calmer than it is here. I don't plan on going anywhere in the boat today. I just want to get on and do some work, do a bit of filming, and maybe give you a bit of a tour, as I said, and see how it goes, because I want to build a consistent pattern of, you know, when I put videos up every week and things like that. I'd like to put at least one long video up every week, and possibly a few shorts as well. And just kind of document what we're doing. I need to get used to this idea of explaining everything that I'm doing, and I'm also aware that my accent is quite strong. I had a comment the other day that really made me chuckle. Apparently listening to me talk it's like being in a fist fight with a rabid dog. I mean, firstly, I've never seen a rabid dog with fists, but anyway, I do realise that my accent can be quite harsh and quite strong. So this is actually me slowing things down and trying to speak a lot more clearly. As a result, I inject a lot of things like M and A into it, just to give my brain time to catch up, because I'm 46 now and it's not quite as sharp as it used to be. But I'll get used to this over time, and I'll get used to doing better shots and better video footage and things, and I'll get more of a setup, you know, lighting and things like that, that hopefully will give you a better experience, and just, you know, let you see what it is we're doing. I mean, on days like this, my wife, she's the sensible one. She's sitting in the house quite happy and quite warm just now. But as I said, you know, if we waited in Scotland, if we waited for the weather, I mean, we'd get 2 days of summer in every year and the rest is winter or autumn. So it's about reading the weather and trying to work out, you know, when it's not dangerous so that I can get out. I'm not an experienced sailor at all. As I said, I wouldn't dream of going out in the boat today, but it's on a mooring and it's quite sheltered and quite stable around there, so I should be able to get on and do some bits and pieces and do a bit of filming, and give you a bit of a tour and let you see my wee boat and run some thoughts and questions by yous for people that are a lot more experienced than me. Hopefully yous can give me some help, and you know, I really appreciate yous watching, especially having to decipher my accent. Yeah, I'll come back in once I get round to the bay and we'll see how it goes. There we go. You see how blustery it was in Gairloch, and yet over here it's a lot more sheltered. So hopefully I can get the dinghy made up and I can get over to the boat and get some bits and pieces done today. There we go, this has finally got everything blow up and out here. As you can see, there is a bit of a wind today, so it is a wee bit blustery, but it's a lot more sheltered here than it was back in Gairloch. There we go, that's us aboard now. It is a bit breezy and blustery, but it's not too bad. So I'll be able to stay on for a few hours at least and get a few bits and pieces done. As you can see, the boat's a bit of a building site just now, so excuse the mess. I'm in the process of doing a lot of bits and pieces to it. As you can see, the deck is needing some paint on it. We've got that kiwi grip for it and a nice kind of royal blue dye for that. So once I get it all sanded down, it'll look really good. I've got a cabin to make for that gas canister. I think I'm actually going to get the bigger canister so it lasts longer. And as I said in the last video, I've got a bit of welding to do on that stainless steel. There's a lot of painting and sanding to be done on the boat, but mostly it's cosmetic. I got this hood done and it's actually looking really good. That was just sanded down and varnished, and Sally got the inside of the Dodger sanded down and painted, so already that's looking a lot better than it was. As I said, the boat's looking like a bit of a building site just now, but it's a work in progress. And I've got the generator stored here just now. It's one of the 2000 watt ones, but it's kind of old fashioned and it's big, so we're in the process of saving up for the smaller version of that. The washboards that were in here, a few of them were kind of cracked and broken, so this is just temporary. We're going to get some of that nice 10mm polycarbonate and we'll get it cut to size. The inside of the boat is the same. It's just a building site just now. There's tools everywhere, but that seems to be par for the course on a boat. Now, as I said in some of the shorts that I've done, I've got a couple of solar panels put up here. They're 120 watts each, and as you can see they're quite bulky. So to be honest, I'm thinking of investing in some of the big 400 watt ones that are flexible. And I've got this done into a battery bank down in here. And I've got a 3,500 watt inverter on that just now. It's not put in completely, it's temporary until I get everything else done. But I think if I invest in some better batteries and some lighter solar panels, because the whole thing is keeping things light on a boat. And it's only putting in 1.48 amps just now because it's not bright, so we could really be doing with something a bit more powerful in the solar panel setup. I've got another 5 solar panels at home, but as I said, they're quite bulky and they're quite heavy. So, I mean, I could build an arch for them and put them on that, but that would put a lot of weight up high in the boat and it would make it really unstable. So I think through time we'll invest in some lightweight flexible solar panels and some really good kind of 400 watt or 400 amp hour batteries, and just upgrade this. I've got this in here just now, and as I say, it's a temporary setup just so that I can plug in and get some 240 volt power for the power tools and things. And I've got this light up here, so I'll see how it goes, but I think definitely going to invest in some better solar panels. And there's a guy that I watch a lot called Mark on Wildling Sailing, and he gets these, it's almost like a battery but with a handle, and they're like 5,000 amps or 5,000 watts, and there's none of this wiring nonsense that I've had to do here. I mean, that's a mess just now. That's all going to get tidied up and run in a cable tidy and things, and there's going to be a new headlining comes in here as well. So, but Mark at Wildling Sailing, he got these things. It was like a solar panel and you just plug it into this, and one of them's got an inverter on it as well, and he runs circular saws and everything off it. I mean, they're expensive, but it looks to be really worth it, and they're portable. So it's whether I buy a permanent solar setup and a bigger inverter and install it permanently, or whether I get this kind of portable setup. We'll see how it goes during time. Now this here is the main area that you sit and eat on this boat. I mean, it's quite comfortable there, although it can be kind of tight getting in and out here with the stairs and things. So I might modify things here. And these windows, I love the wee porthole here, but the problem I get is I'm in Scotland and it's quite cool. So when we put the heating on in here, that condenses really badly and it just drips down onto the seat. So I was thinking of opening this full thing up and just making it one big polycarbonate window. But we'll see how it goes. And then we've got the other side here. As I said, everything's kind of like a building site just now. And this is a V-berth in here. I've got this kind of filled in to try and make it a bigger bed, with the thought that it's easier to heat one cabin than heat this one for us living in and then heat the back one. Everything's just stacked on top of this as well, but you know, we'll get there, and once I've got all the work done, then I can start getting things tidied away. Now, the McWester has that was my head. Anyway, yeah, as I was saying, the McWester has a centre cockpit, which is, it's nice and safe when things get kind of rougher. Certainly for a novice like me, but it does mean that, you know, it's split. So we've got an aft cabin here, which is supposed to be a double berth that I'm just using to store ropes and tools and things. And it's one of these things that you don't know when you're a complete novice, that actually it feels now like it takes a lot of the usable space away. Because as I said, you've got to heat this if you want to sleep in it, and then you've got to heat the front as well. So it's no energy efficient. And I think if I stick with this boat, I'll just use this as storage. And I'll use the front for living in. Which actually brings me to one of my questions. Because of my lack of knowledge on sailboats, you know, I took this one thinking it's safe. It's got a bilge keel, so it can sit on its own feet, so to speak, which makes it easy to repair, for to paint, for to put anodes and things on. It's safer and it's relatively easy to sail, so for a novice like me it made sense. But I mean, I've got a family and 2 dogs, and I was recently introduced to a catamaran, which moves a lot differently. It actually moves a lot more like I'm used to. You know, you don't get that side to side motion so much, which is something that, again, it took me by surprise when I first started sailing this one, because with my powerboat experience, you know, you don't get side to side motion so much. So when you're sitting sailing and you get into the ditch, as they call it, and the next thing your generator gets launched from there over to there, it's a complete surprise. But the catamaran moves a lot different, and there seems to be more usable space and a lot more storage. So what I'm looking for is something that I can go cruising in, take the family and the dogs. You know, we've got the dinghy there, so we can go to explore islands and things. And something that's safe. I don't care how fast it is, I mean, this thing does 5 knots on a good day. That's plenty fast enough for me. As I said, I'm going to cruise, I'm not going to race. But again, I've got zero experience with catamarans. So I'd ask the more knowledgeable people out there, you know, would a catamaran be suitable for us? I've seen some of the smaller ones, the small 30-foot ones, and I've seen some horror stories of people tipping them and things like that. I mean, I've seen pictures of one of the hulls being out of the water because it was healing and things like that. I've no intention of ever doing that. You know, it'll be a nice leisurely sail. And I'll organise my time so that I can sail during the day and get anchored or moored before dark. So I don't need speed, I need relaxation, stability, safety, comfort. Aye, would a catamaran be suitable? I know it's a different style of sailing, but it wouldn't be learning something new for me because, you know, as I said, I'm a novice anyway. So would it be worth either selling this boat and buying a catamaran, or swapping this boat and putting some money towards a catamaran? I know they're a bit more expensive, but I've got this mooring here and I've got access to the harbour for something up to 40 feet, and this mooring is rated up to 17 tonnes. So, you know, that's a pretty decent sized catamaran. I was looking at a Solaris catamaran there that's needing work because I like the idea of projects, I like the idea of working on them and getting to know them. Anyway, this Solaris was 11 tonnes, which, you know, that would be easily put onto this, and it was 40 feet, so I'd be able to use the harbour no problem. So it's, I mean, looking at the inside of them, it's really, really spacious. It needs a lot of work, the one I looked at, and it's quite complicated to buy because the guy's trying to sell it and he's selling it through the marina owner, who's then wanting £2,000 on top of the price. So I don't know if I want to get that complicated with things. You know, he wouldn't be happy for you to live aboard for a couple of weeks to repair the engines and steam it back, but it's too big to be transported by road. So it's kind of making it difficult for the guy to sell it. If it was just a straight sale, I think I would probably just have went down and bought it, and then I would have lived aboard for 2 or 3 weeks and repaired the engines like I did with this one. You know, give it a good service and then just harbour hop all the way up. You know, steam for 8 hours a day and then pull into a harbour or a marina and then do the same thing the next again day until I got it home. But anyway, I digress. My question about the catamaran. This side to side motion is, you know, it's not comfortable. And out in the Minch where we were sailing the last time, it was a beautiful day as you've seen, and then within 10 minutes a squall kicked up and things are getting launched up and down the boat. And I know that on a catamaran they'll still get launched about a bit, but not quite as much. I mean, my poor wee dogs, it was the first time they'd ever been in a squall and they were just sitting downstairs looking at me as if I was stupid, which they were probably right. I mean, it was only 15 mile an hour winds, but it was enough to make this thing heel from side to side quite a lot. And it got quite uncomfortable because of the direction we had to tack and the direction we needed to come in to get inside the loch. It got quite uncomfortable quite fast. So it's something that I'm really considering. I'm researching catamarans just now, the ones that are kind of 30 to 40 feet. And, you know, I've asked a few marinas if they've got any project ones that are going cheap, because I really like the idea of making this YouTube channel a lot about fixing it and about upgrading it and about our adventures. And to be honest, imagine on a sunny day sitting there on the trampoline, just sunbathing, with nothing but the sound of the sea and birds and dolphins round about you. I mean, that'd be amazing. I can really see why Mark at Wildland Sailing loves the catamaran. Now, I'm filming this on the GoPro, so I'm not used to it yet, but it's something, it's a work in progress, let's say. Now, in here is the head. The boat's got one. It's one of the pump ones, and it seems to be decent enough. Unfortunately for me, I'm not quite as short as a hobbit, and I've led quite an active life, so I don't seem to fit in here for some reason. I'm quite broad in the shoulders and the chest, and I mean, I can't stand up in it and I can't sit down in it, so I'm going to have to find another solution. It seems like I'm being quite negative about the boat, and actually I'm not. This boat has so many positives, and it's actually shown me so many things already. I wish I'd found sailing and boats a lot younger in life. It's one of my regrets now that I didn't. And this boat itself is beautiful. As I've said, it's needing some work, but I've never been scared of that. Sorry about the wind. Aye, it's Scotland, so if it's no windy, it's raining. It reminds me that... Oh, where are you going? There we go. Aye, it reminds me of that scene in Braveheart. You want to go sailing in this? Are you out of your mind? Not at all, madam. It's fine Scottish weather. The rain's coming straight down. Well, a wee bit to the side. And it's kind of like that, you know. There's always something going on with the weather in Scotland, but it's absolutely stunning. So we put up with the weather. Anyway, I digress again. As I was saying, I've said a few negative things about this boat, but this is actually one of the best things ever to happen to me. As I said, I wish I'd have came to sailing and boats a lot sooner in life, but you know, I'm glad I found it now. And although it's needing a lot of work, I'd be more than happy to put the work in, but I am thinking that I may be better suited to something that's a bit broader and a bit more space. This boat has so many positive points. You know, it's really light on fuel. It's got the BMC 1500 engine in it, and it uses less than 3 litres an hour. It's needing a few modifications which I've bought for it, but we'll get into that later on. The boat's needing a bit of a paint. We've got anti-foul on it, we've got the new anodes on it. When I got the boat, you know, the mast and everything was off, so we've got all the mast up, we've got the rigging on. I've got working lights here in the front. These are linked up to the 12 volt system and on new switches, so I've done a bit to it already. I'm wondering, am I going to get a catamaran, and if I am, is it worth putting more work into this? Okay, I've jumped back inside the Dodger here where there's less wind so that you can hear me better. As I was saying, you know, is it wise to put a lot of money and effort into a boat that I might not keep? Is it better to sell it to somebody and let them put their stamp on it? I mean, I'm really not sure. At the very least, I'm going to service it and I'm going to get it running really well. The new, or the Seacocks that are on it, I don't know what age they are, so I'm going to replace them. we got some paint for the hull. I don't know whether to paint it or not, to be honest. It's red paint and it's really good, but it's 90 quid a can. And then if I paint it, somebody else might not like the colour and want to paint it something different. So, aye, it's just trying to figure out what to do for the best. Anyway, I'm going to open up this engine cover and I'm going to let you have a look in things. And we'll talk through some other bits and pieces. I know this video has been really wordy so far and people get bored with that. But, you know, this is one of the first videos I'm making on this boat. And I think I've got more questions than answers just now. So, aye, I think bear with me and there'll be more adventures and more repairs as time goes on. Now, if I can get this gimbal to work properly, I'll let you have a look at the engine here. It does look kind of past it, but these engines run forever. It's needing a bit of a clean, it's needing a bit of paint, but other than that, I mean, if you can see there where the oil filter is, that oil filter doesn't actually get made anymore. So you've got to send away to Germany to a company that makes an attachment for it, an adapter, and then you can put the adapter on and get a modern one. I think this gimbal is going to take some getting used to. It seems to have a life of its own. I've serviced the gearbox in it. I put new oil in the gearbox. I put a new air filter on it, which turned out to be the wrong one. So if anybody knows where to get the right air filter for them, I'd appreciate that. I put new fuel filters on it. I'm going to put a preheater on the diesel plugs, on the glow plugs even, because it doesn't like starting for cold. But other than that, it runs perfectly. It's not missed a beat. I had to bypass the fuel tanks when I first got it. That's why there's a hose there, because it had some really bad diesel bug and the tanks are kind of rusty. So I've given them a clean out and it's just waiting on me reinstating the main tanks. It's needing some cleaning, as I said. It's got new oil in it, it's got new filters with the exception of the air filter. I don't know if there's an adapter for that. It'll get some new belts on it. But aye, other than that, it seems to be running just fine. You know, I don't know if you see it, but I was just looking at the window here and I noticed that the mast seems to be lying to the side of it. And it seems like the bolts have slackened off slightly since I put it on, and I think the stays on the other side has slackened as well, just looking at the turnbuckles on them. So I'm going to go out and I'm going to fix that into this lovely breeze again. Yeah, it definitely looks like it's slackened off. So I'm going to have to bore them and put split pins through them because I don't want the rigging to come off. And I really need to get used to this gimbal. It seems to be going back to front just now. You can actually see how far that has slackened off. It's crazy. And obviously, with it being an older boat, all the nuts and bolts are imperial measurements, so I've got to have a set of spanners with both metric and imperial. But I'll get this tightened up and I'll come back in. That's the wind definitely picking up now. Thankfully I managed to get that mast all tightened down and it's looking a lot more secure now. But yeah, that's the thing with Scotland. If you don't like the weather, wait 10 minutes. Just wait 10 minutes and it'll change for you. Anyway, I'm going to jump back inside because I don't want blue off this deck. I know this video was quite wordy when there wasn't actually much done on the boat, but it was more of a tour and to let you get to know me a bit and my plans, the things that the boat's needing done, and a few questions, you know. As I said, I am an absolute amateur at this. I'm only just beginning. I've got a huge amount to learn, but one thing I do know, this is only just the beginning for me. I absolutely love this, and no matter what happens in my life, I will have sailing and boats and being on the water in my life. This summer, the hope is that we'll get out on a lot of adventures, and I'll take yous along for the ride. Maybe do some scuba diving, some snorkeling, chasing some fishing, crabs and things up and down. I'll get some repairs and some upgrades done on this boat, and who knows, I might end up getting a catamaran. Somebody might know. If you know one that's lying in a marina somewhere rotten that's been abandoned, let me know. I'll go and have a look at it and I'll take you along for the ride. Any boat that I have will be a fixer-upper, it will be a project, because that's what I do. I love fixing things, I love getting to know them and putting my mark on them, you know. But aye, through the year we'll do some fishing, we'll do some snorkeling, maybe even spear fishing if I get a chance. We'll go down and we'll service this mooring, put new shackles and everything on, and aye, obviously the boat's got to get painted. As you've seen in a previous video, we've done the anti-fouling and we've done the anodes, but the hull might get painted and the deck's definitely getting painted. So aye, we'll see how it goes. I'm going to try and do, as I said, a video a week and maybe a couple of shorts, just to let you keep up with what's happening and things. I'm not going to promise that I'll do millions of videos every week, because I'd end up burning myself out. You know, life gets in the way sometimes. But I really would like to keep this a regular thing, and you know, I hope you enjoy it. I hope that I can bring some level of entertainment to your lives. I wouldn't use these as instructional videos because, to be honest, I'm lucky I've survived this long. So don't do what I do. But I hope I can bring some entertainment to your lives, and I hope you enjoy it. I hope you subscribe and follow along, because as I said, this is just the beginning. This is going to be the rest of my life. This is going to be my way of life. I'll put every spare penny I get into it. You know, I don't drink, I don't smoke and I don't do drugs. So I'll put my money into boats. Anyway, thank you very much for watching this. I really appreciate it. And if you could like and subscribe, that would help get this channel out to people. I'm only just beginning, as I said, so I can do with all the help that you can give me. Thank you. Take care.